Missouri. This is the same storm that has prompted the Weather Service for continuing this warning for over an hour or so, in small chunks, half-hour chunks at a time, but still, it is not showing many signs of weakening and can still make those spin-ups a possibility, where they stay on the ground for a little bit, lift up into the cloud, and do the exact same thing as they strengthen and weaken, catch their breath, and go back into it. What we do, we circled it for you. There you see Lake Winnebago to your south. That's where we're noticing at least the couplet, or at least the possibility of the notch that's coming in there. So this is where the heaviest rain is. So it's going to be kind of difficult sometimes to see the funnel itself if it has made contact with the ground. So one of the things we're doing, in addition to Johnny Rollins and News Chopper 9, we're monitoring the spotters that have been deployed out in the field, seeing that and talking to our friends at the National Weather Service and our friends in emergency management to make sure that we are definitely getting all the reports coming in here, because this is only one piece of the puzzle. Tornado warning makes sense looking at radar, but now it's saying, okay, what are you seeing on the ground? Is it making contact with the ground? What's going on there? So again, it has had a history of doing it, and it may do it once again. Holden, though, that one looks like it's even stronger. And that one, I'm not going to say was that strong even 20 minutes ago. And this is right now on the back edge of Holden, so west of Holden, so still out toward Johnson County on the Missouri side. Let me emphasize the Missouri side. Yes, seems to be some damage that Chris was talking about coming in from Johnson County, Kansas. But right now it looks like Johnson County, Missouri is in the throes of this one. That's now moving, I think, more to the east-northeast as opposed to due east right now, which is also the reason that they've oriented the tornado warning in such a way. It doesn't seem like it's moving due east. It does look like it's moving more east and northeast, so Centerview may be in the path of this, especially if it does hold together with that little notch that you see there. So Centerview, you should be in your safe area. Heads up, Warrensburg, you're not in the warning until 5:45, which means it'll probably be reaching you later than that. But Centerview at 5:41, Holden right now is where it is over you. University of Central Missouri, that is, on campus there at 5:55. That is after the official tornado warning is over. It's just a matter of seeing if it does hold together and if it does continue to track in that direction. And obviously the city itself in Warrensburg at 5:55 as well. Neville, can you take it for 1 second, please?
Oh, yeah. So there's the track on that storm. We're still keeping a close eye on that storm in Cass County because we are still seeing areas of rotation that definitely is concerning right now. So Brian just showed you the storm that's in Johnson County, Missouri. That's moving over Holden. So if you're in the Holden area, you need to get to your safe place. Just a reminder, we're talking about the lowest level of your home. We're talking about somewhere that's away from windows, away from exterior walls. You want to be in that interior room. And that is the part in particular of the storm that we're most concerned about. So it is east of Kingsville, moving over Holden right now. So call to action. We want you to get to your safe place. If you live in Centerview, we want you to get to your safe place. Warrensburg, certainly continue paying attention right now. We will let you know if this storm will impact you. It is heading in your direction. There is still rotation associated with this storm, so you should be making plans to get to your safe place in Warrensburg here very soon. Farther towards the west, we are still seeing rotation with this storm. Really, the worst of it is just south of Lake Winnebago, south of Greenwood. It's approaching Pleasant Hill. This is the storm that has this tornado warning here for Cass County. You can see again just to the west of Pleasant Hill. That is the part in particular that we're keeping a close watch on. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the area that we're watching very, very closely. There may also be some hail in this storm where you see some of that pink on the map south of Lake Winnebago. This would be near 175th Street, 189th Street. So we're talking about south of Greenwood. If you live in those locations, you need to be in your safe place. It looks like the tornado warning was just redrawn, so it kind of cut off some areas farther west, including near Coleman and Raymore. You are out of that tornado warning, but Pleasant Hill, this includes you. This includes the Crossroads School there near Pleasant Hill. If you live near State Route 58, State Route N looks like, or excuse me, State Route 7 there, going into Pleasant Hill, you need to be getting into your safe place as this storm, which Brian, we're still seeing a lot of rotation with it. Even if it's not producing a tornado right now, literally it can produce one at any time.
And that's part of the reason why you see that we are trying to divvy up the responsibilities, because we have more than one tornado producing thunderstorm that's out there. So what you saw there is the one that's been at least on the back doorstep of Pleasant Hill for quite some time and still showing some indications. I know that Johnny's trying to get back into position and let me know when we have him by talking through my earpiece. But we still have those two tornado warnings that are out. And as Neville mentioned, they have redrawn this. So this is the first one. There's Newsdropper 9. So there's the first one for Pleasant Hill, Missouri. This is the second one right on the doorstep of Holden. And so as we mentioned, Warrensburg, you don't necessarily have to move, but just make sure you're weather alert. Make sure you have the KMBC News app on your phone for when we need that. We will definitely be letting you know for the possibility of this thing once again touching down. But right now from Kingsville to Holden seems to be where we have most of the action. And this is that tornado warning, probably in effect for another 20 minutes or so until 5:45. Go ahead, Neville.
There hasn't been confirmed yet, but there may have been a brief touchdown on 203rd Street, about 3/4 of a mile west of 291 Highway. This is just to the northeast of Peculiar, Missouri. So that would be, if you're looking at the map here, the tornado warning on the left, the one that's approaching Pleasant Hill. There may have been a brief touchdown just northeast of Peculiar there. Looks like that would have been about at just a few minutes ago. So again, near 203rd Street to the west of 291 Highway, just northeast of Peculiar. So there may have been a very brief touchdown. Just like you mentioned, with this setup, this is not like a Linwood setup that we saw a few years ago. There's a lot of rotation, not a lot of oomph, if you will, in the atmosphere for big, tall thunderstorms, but there's plenty of wind, so these storms are rotating and they can produce short-lived but certainly damaging tornadoes.
And one of the things that we were tracking, you were tracking over the weekend, and I was when I was in last week, was that low that was responsible for the blizzard out in, say, Colorado. Because of the circulation, it has enough shear, that's for sure. There's enough change in wind direction, that's for sure. But as we mentioned, not enough juice in the atmosphere to make it a prolonged event. But nonetheless, people are concerned, and obviously so. If we've had damage and structural damage and damage to houses already, it doesn't take long for a brief touchdown to once again at least cause some issues. Mercifully, I haven't seen any injury reports or certainly no fatalities, and I hope, knock on wood, that that's the way it's going to be. Now it's lifting to the east of Kingsville, but still heading to the northeast. So right now, threading the needle between Holden and Kingsville. Still hope you're staying in your safe area between those two communities. There's the hail core. Also having reports of the National Weather Service office. We're still looking and trying to figure out if they're going to continue with this, but right now I say they probably are. Also getting reports within the metro of hail coming down as well, but certainly not hopefully that large. But nonetheless, for those who are in the Kansas City metro, we're still going to see some thunderstorms, but no new warnings have been issued for the Kansas City metro itself. Here it is. There is now the second one, the farther west. There's Pleasant Hill, just so you can definitely get your bearings. Central portion of Cass County. There you see Route 58. You're also going to
up 7 Highway a little bit here and head towards Pleasant Hill and maybe get a look at where they have been talking about those funnel clouds. Right back to you.
Thank you so much there. So here you see him. One of the things we have here, we can actually put his position on our radar so you can see where the rain is, we can see where the couplet is. There's where Johnny's current position is, and he is trying to circumnavigate, if you will, from a safe distance to get around that storm itself. So right now, west of Pleasant Hills, where we see at least the particular portion of the cell most concerning, which is why the tornado warning stays in effect for at least another 15 minutes or so. We also notice the other cell that is closer to Kingsville and Holden, Missouri, and that one stays in effect through at least 5:45, and that's the other tornado warning, which is primarily for Johnson County on the Missouri side. So two parallel storms, two that are still keeping their intensity, although we've not seen any reports of another touchdown per se, which is very good news, but they have had a history of very short-lived touchdowns, and that's the kind of situation we're going to be in. So here's the cell itself as we do a storm track, now picking up in speeds up to about 25 miles an hour, going to the east. Center view, new estimated time of arrival for you, since they are moving, so our information does change, although the umbrella warning does not. Still a tornado warning until 5:45, but for the individual communities, those times change. Here's a look at center view at 5:42, hitting the campus once again outside of the official warning for Warrensburg at 5:56 or 5:57 for the city itself. But center view, you are still within the confines, if you will, of this tornado warning, staying in effect until 5:45 as it continues to cross, as we're looking there at Southwest 100 or 1011th Street, a road that is, moving farther to the east of that area. So it's just now to the west of Center View itself, and there's Southwest 300th Road, which goes east and west. So there would be your intersection of where at least we're concerned about, and still the possibility of a hail that will be moving through too. Tornado warning until 5:45 for this area. Once again, center view right in the path of that. We have had reports earlier of tornadoes on the ground and causing damage as well. But right now, it is one of those situations where we do have at least the reports coming in from Johnny, News Chopper 9. He's still very close to getting a better bird's eye view, and let me know if he's ready. Johnny, we'll go to you now.
I'm ready. All right, Brian, yeah, this is going to be kind of aligned right along 7 Highway, headed into Pleasant Hill right now from Harrisonville, a couple of miles to the south and east of the storm right now. And that looks like a pretty typical shelf cloud or outflow, kind of a gust front coming out of the storm. And back here in this direction is where we would be looking for any kind of rotation or any kind of a funnel cloud with that. And right now, not seeing anything as far as lowering of the clouds. There's the rain shaft, and you can see those clouds right next to the rain shaft, and they do appear to be lifting a bit, but I don't know if that's because of the outflow, the rain shaft dragging down some cooler air, and it's sliding down underneath those clouds and kind of lifting them up. That's definitely what we have at the front of the storm right now, but boy, look at the rain. It is really coming down in there, and we are seeing some pretty frequent lightning with that as well. No funnel clouds yet, but yeah, sure is a powerful storm, and we're on the lookout for that for sure. Brian, back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you there, sir. So Cass County, Jackson County, and Johnson County on the Missouri side still under the tornado warning. You see it just as a small sliver of Jackson County. So from Lone Jack, that's where we see it, actually toward Greenwood as well. So not all of Jackson County. So places like Oak Grove, Green Valley, Blue Springs, fine. Still thunder, still some hail, but as far as a tornado threat, not there. And it also goes farther south into Cass County, so right on the back edge of Pleasant Hill. And as Johnny was talking about, it seems like this is more of a shelf cloud. And if you notice, looking at the colors, this could be more of what looks like a line or the gust front per se, more so than a couplet. But nonetheless, we're going to err on the side of caution because there's this little indentation right there ahead of it. So it's not like the tornado threat is totally over. It is still out there, which is why, once again, we're still here with the coverage. And then the other one stays in effect until 5:45, and that's the one that's out for Johnson County on the Missouri side, although Johnson County, Kansas had at least a brief touchdown reported 199th, I believe, in Schweitzer itself. Here's center view, so it is closing in on you, and because, again, it's moving, our storm track, our estimated time of arrival will be changing too, but let's put some cities on first, and also some of the cross streets. Southwest 300th Road there, center view, the city there. And once again, as you're noticing, it is moving now to the northeast at about 25 miles an hour. So now the estimated time of arrival for the center of center view will be 5:42, but still before the top of the hour for the campus of UCM and also Warrensburg at about 5:56. Now, I've not seen any reports coming in from the National Weather Service of additional touchdowns per se. We've had funnel cloud reports for sure, and that's the first precursor, because sometimes you can see the funnel cloud, and as Johnny mentioned, as we know here, sometimes you'll see the rotation, but you don't necessarily see the funnel all the way to the ground, although you may see things churning near the ground itself, but the funnel itself may not fill in all the way. That to say, because it's had a history of dropping down at least every once in a while, that's again, I think, why the Weather Service is making sure we stay with this, because there's certainly enough shear in the atmosphere to get things going, albeit briefly, but if you're in that neighborhood, that could cause some problems. Johnny Rawls, News Chopper 9, back to you.
Brian, I want to show you a little thing here that might be an encouraging sign. Of course, nothing is definite with these storms, and this one certainly still really powerful and could do something anytime, but we are seeing more outflow now on the southwest side of the storm, where we would be expecting to see some inflow for a tornadic activity. You may be able to see some of those clouds kind of rolling up. Yeah, go ahead and open that up. The clouds kind of rolling up the front of this shelf cloud, but that is cooler air that's coming from the backside of the storm that's shoving underneath warmer air. That warmer air is overriding the cooler air and condensing, and that's why we see it as a cloud. So really not seeing anything else. That's pretty far on the south side. We do have some clouds hanging down here and there, but again, more evidence of this now kind of moving in the direction of more outflow is, yeah, where's that little cloud? I think it's over there. Well, kind of hard to see. But one way or the other, we do have a cloud, yeah, there it's going to be, that is moving. It appears to be kind of moving up, but that is moving out of the storm and kind of lifting up with that cooler air below it as well. It is right here by the rain shaft that we would be looking for any kind of a wall cloud. Not seeing that, but we do have some pretty low stuff back behind the rain shaft, so it's anybody's guess of whether or not something could occur right in there where we have that big downdraft from the southwest joining the front part of the storm. But right now, looks like primarily winds coming out of the storm and prevailing in that regard rather than a big inflow, and hopefully that's a good sign. Brian, back to you in the studio.
Thank you there, Johnny. So what he was referring to was what we were also talking about, in that this is now showing maybe more evidence of gusty winds but no circulation per se, and that's a good sign there. But the other thing is we're still concerned about the other storm, which is out toward Johnson County on the Missouri side, and that's the tornado warning staying in effect for about another 20 minutes or so till 5:45. This right here definitely looks like it has some hail. That's the pink color that you see there, the purples. But there's still enough of a notch. I'm sorry, there's still enough of a notch there. This is now to the north and west of Centerview. But the whole storm is something that we're going to continue to watch and to monitor, since the tornado warning does stay in effect until about 5:45 in the evening. So it does look like things could be calming down for Jackson County on the Missouri side, Cass County on the Missouri side, but still focusing our attention on Johnson County in Missouri until 5:45 for the tornado warning radar indicated per se. But right there, that would be the circulation that we're more concerned about. And when Johnny was talking, he was referring to his photographer. He actually has somebody. He's driving the helicopter. Hopefully you know that. He's a pilot. He's a reporter doing both, keeping both hats on. But he has somebody else who's running the camera. So he, every once in a while, has to put them in the right direction and kind of tell them what he wants to see. So it is a team effort even up there. There he is once again trying to get out in front of this one. But once again, Holden, you're in the clear. So I always like to do that as well. If it looks like it's passed you by and the threat is over, I like to say that. So Holden, Missouri, Kingsville, Missouri, you are fine. And also notice how the National Weather Service is whittling away some of that tornado warning, but just issued a new one that now includes Warrensburg. So now this is a new tornado warning. And also, remember we were mentioning Knob Noster until when, I'm sorry? 6:15. So now for another 45 minutes, it's now going to include Knob Noster, Warrensburg, because now this seems to be the biggest cell that is now issuing the tornado warning, a continuation of that tornado warning. So although Kingsville and Holden seem to be in the clear, there are now new communities that are in the path, and even some people who live on campus down in Warrensburg. So that's, again, why we're continuing with the coverage itself. Centerview right on your back doorstep, but they are now expanding out. And one of the things, as you know, is the National Weather Service does look at Johnny's reports and also those of us here in the media, because it is a combination of them, the radar, emergency managers, and reports coming in that kind of make us give a better assessment of what's really going on. So now the new estimated time of arrival for Warrensburg is still right before the top of the hour, but this is a warning that stays in effect until 6:15 for that very reason, that it is still moving to the east and northeast and holding together, that this seems to be the more dominant storm that we have going on right now, more so than the one that was farther out to the west. And I know Johnny's going to try to get in a little closer if he can, or also we may want to keep him tethered to the other one just in case it does not decide to pulse up. But once again, Centerview, hopefully in your safe area. Warrensburg, we've been telling you for a little bit to be at least weather aware. Now you need to take precautions and get to your safe area, down toward the lowest level possible, as many walls between you and the outside, until the warning is over, and that's not going to be until 6:15. So that's the new tornado warning that's out for Johnson County in Missouri because of that potential of this tornado once again touching down, as it has had a history of doing that earlier this evening. This is now a little tighter in, so we can see some of it. Looks like a heavier, at least downpour, close to Warrensburg, but that's not the leading edge of the storm. The storm itself is still out towards Centerview. So you do have time to get to your safe area, and since this warning is still in effect until 6:15, you definitely have time to get to that region as quickly as possible, keeping all those safety rules intact for a while longer. Go ahead, Neville.
We have some reports coming in. So we have had some tornado touchdowns, as we have mentioned. Now seeing a report of roughly 20 homes that were damaged in Johnson County in extreme southern Overland Park. Looks like there were some roofs and siding that may have been damaged, some tree damage as well. again, near the 199th and Schweitzer to Antioch area. Some power lines down as well. And we have gotten some reports of 1,300 without power in the metro from these storms. So want to make sure we're definitely taking these seriously. If you are in line with these storms, right now the main storm of focus is in Johnson County, Missouri. So moving over Centerview, heading towards the Warrensburg. So if you are in the Warrensburg area, if you're in Centerview, you need to be getting to your safe place. If you're in Warrensburg, especially if you're in an apartment, if you're looking for an area, if you have to get to an area with other people you don't live with, that's safe. If you're in an apartment on an upper level, get to the lowest level, grab your mask, head to that safest area, that lowest level if you can, especially here over the next few minutes as this storm continues moving towards the east, northeast at about 25 miles an hour. So Centerview, Warrensburg, and we may have some college students in that area watching right now. Want to get you your first alert and call you to action to be getting to your safe place, because this storm has had a history of producing tornadoes, a history, Brian, of damage, and want to make sure you're getting to your safe place. And again, if you live in an area with other people outside of your household, if you can, grab your mask and then get to that safe place.
I would say so, just to be on the safe side once again. It also looks like we're trying to get Johnny closer to this storm that's heading toward Warrensburg. He is going to try to, and he can motor. Obviously, he doesn't have to worry about traffic. He can go at speeds exceeding the ground speed limit, if you will, still at a safe distance. If you've been with us for a while, he did say that outside of the storm itself, it is pretty calm up there, not too gusty with the winds, and he's really not flying that high. So he should be able to get there, although he may be fighting the wind because the rotation is counterclockwise around this low, and he's trying to head east. So that may slow him down a little bit, but there you see his position near Kingsville, still trying to get closer to this storm that is about ready to converge on to the Warrensburg area. As we mentioned right before the top of the hour, but now this tornado warning does include Knob-Noster, staying in effect until 6:15. This is now, excuse me, the area. There's Warrensburg, there's Centerview, still pulsing farther to the east, holding together. But as you notice, when I first came back in front of the wall, I kind of showed you a notch that had me a little concerned. But with every pass of First Alert Live radar, which is every minute, we can see it change its shape, which means it's changing what it can do, which means it's changing its energy, if you will, and its output. And so this is why it is so difficult for us to try to say once and for all, let's close the door. And I'm glad we didn't, because again, this still has a history of holding together, and certainly it looks like it could drop the tornado at any given time. And that's, again, I think part of the reason why the Weather Service has extended the warning to go until 6:15. So now look at this. Remember before I was saying that the estimated times of arrival would be at about 5:56. Now with this latest storm track, it's sliced off 10 minutes, now 5:48. 5:48 for Warrensburg in central Missouri as well, Knob-Noster at 6:12. That's still within the area of this tornado warning until 6:15, but as you see here, the estimated times of arrival do change. Although the tornado warning stays in effect, that we are repeating for sure until 6:15. The ETAs, or the estimated times of arrival, do change since this system is continuing to move and change and develop. And as you saw with the live sweep going around, it's still holding together with a little bit of hail still associated with, and also at least the possibility of the tornado threat that stays in effect until 6:15. Also want to, excuse me, talk more about what's happening farther west, just for the all clear that I do like to give every once in a while. This is now for Jackson County out to the west. And as you see here, Lone Jack, it is now, it looks like more of a gust front or more of a wind event if it's going to happen at all. This is now putting into motion. Pleasant Hill, it seems like you are a little easier to collect your breath there. So now I'd say between Lone Jack going over the eastern and central portions, or east central portions of Cass County, that would be it. And that would be more of a gusty wind threat, more so than a tornado threat. I've not seen any chatter. Looks like they're going to let that one expire. Yep, at 5:45, and right now they're not going to continue it beyond that. So this one seems to be dying down. What's that? So they are going to. So they're going to include Pettis now. Okay. So let us once again say that Cass County and also Jackson County, you're in the clear now. But as we've been saying for a little bit, seems to be the big storm that we're more concerned about. And it's because now neighboring Pettis County, northern Pettis County, seems north of Sedalia, now in the path of this progressive storm and the most dominant storm that we have going on right now. And it's not just this one. It looks like one near Knob Noster and another one just to the north and west of Lamont. But this is now a cell that is pulsing up, strengthening, at least showing some rotation, at least a possibility. So we have two, I would say, three cells, but two that have tornado signatures or tornado characteristics. Houstonia to Lamont, that is now the tornado warning in effect until 6:30 for Pettis County. It is to the north of Sedalia. It looks like this small cell will track north of Sedalia, but nonetheless, there are certainly farms and people who live in rural portions of Pettis County, giving you your first alert for that. Knob Noster, yes, you do have some heavy rain, possibly a little bit of hail, but the one that we've been tracking for ever since the 4 o'clock hour or thereabouts, still about ready to converge on to Warrensburg, now to the east of Centerview, pretty much, although still stay in your safe area. That one stays in effect until 5:45, although the leading edge is right on the back doorstep of Warrensburg. And remember, we did say that the time was going to be about 5:49. It's 2 minutes earlier. So amazing how this thing does change its path, changes its speed, which changes how much time people have to react to it. Knob Noster, this one will be hitting at 6:11. Oh, go ahead.
One that's moving through Centerview right now. Looks like we have a report of a funnel cloud, a very brief funnel cloud, 3 miles west of Centerview, and that one coming in from National Weather Service employees.
What was the timestamp on that?
That is about 5:34, so that came in about 12 minutes ago.
Okay, so that would be part of that same storm, but obviously it is still one that everybody's watching, and so the back edge of that is near Centerview. The front edge, or the leading edge that we're concerned about, is about ready to head toward Warrensburg, and then the new cell will definitely be affecting between, say, Lamont and Houstonia. That's Pettis County to the north of Sedalia right now. That one stays in effect until 6:15 or so. So we do have 2 tornado warnings that are out over the easternmost portion of our viewing region, now moving at about 25 miles an hour. They're Sweet Springs, so it's south of you. Right now you're fine, but Houstonia to Lamont. And if we did a storm track, it's going to be over a rural area, so maybe cities won't populate, but there's certainly farms and families who live out in that area. So if you have friends or folks who live out there between Lamont and Houstonia, please let them know that this cell is heading toward them. Is that Tavis Road? Yeah, up to Houstonia. That would be at News Chopper 9, still trying to get in position, but he has a little time to try to get there. Also, a little concerned about the cell that's to the east of Harrisonville, just by shape, not by any indication. And I'm sure my friends and colleagues out at the National Weather Service are looking at that too. But notice how it's south of the I-70 corridor, pretty much 50 highway, and now east of Interstate 49. So it's east and southeast of the city. Still going to be some thunderstorms in and around the Kansas City metro, but right now it seems the action is taking place rural portions of Pettis County and also for Johnson County on the Missouri side. As we put this into motion, you can see the evolution of this. And this one will stay in effect until 6 o'clock straight up. This one stays in effect until 6:15, as it looks like they're still holding together and have had a history of producing at least funnel clouds, if not tornado downpours. I think that we have at least a break right now, at least as far as any new additional information coming in here. As far as this one cell, since it is heading toward rural areas, I hope that I've given enough heads up to those folks in northern portions of Pettis County. Please be in your safe area right now. But right at this point, I don't see much more redevelopment, which is good. But nonetheless, we're still holding it together to at least look at Warrensburg to Knob Noster and up toward Lamont and Houstonia with those heavier amounts of rain, thunderstorms, and the potential of a little bit of the rotation to be there. I'm going to step out for just 1 second. Neville?
All right, Brian, and just like you mentioned, we do have these 2 tornado warnings, again, between Lamont and Houstonia, so that's in Pettis County. Want to get you, this storm will stay to your north in Sedalia. So if you are near Houstonia, if you're near Lamont, get to your safe place. That storm is making its way towards the east-northeast at about 25 miles an hour. So that one will stay north of 50 highway. If you're in the Knob Noster area, we're still monitoring this storm that is over Warrensburg or approaching Warrensburg right now. It moved through Centerview just a little bit ago. It did produce a brief funnel cloud, so that's an indication that there is that rotation in the atmosphere, that rotation within the storm that we are monitoring very carefully. So the particular part of the storm that we're watching Now, center view, again, this is primarily moving just off to your east. You may still have some heavy rain in the center view area, especially on the east side of town, but really the worst of it is getting ready to approach the Warrensburg area. So I want to get you your first alert. 50 highway there heading right into Warrensburg, right in the middle of this. There may be some hail, but the main thing is that potential of a tornado which can be produced at any time. So get to that interior room in your home, that lowest level, that basement, if you have that available. If you're in an apartment building, if you're on an upper floor, you want to get to that lowest level right now. If you have a mask nearby, grab that if you're with people that aren't in your household. Otherwise, just get to that lowest level as soon as possible, away from windows, away from outside walls until this storm passes, because it still may potentially produce a tornado. This tornado warning will continue here. It's going to go until 6:15 for the Warrensburg area. And the storm is moving eastward at about 25 miles an hour. So I do want to put a new track on it. What you're looking at here, this is Johnson County, Missouri. So you're looking at areas to the east of the metro. Now we're east of Centerview. So first I'm going to briefly zoom the map out so you can get just a reference of the area that we're focusing in on. So you see the metro there at the top left corner of your screen. You have the all clear on the Kansas side. So this is now south of Higginsville. We're looking right in on the Warrensburg area. First alert to you, tornado warning until 6:15. You need to be taking your tornado precautions, getting to your safe place right now. Don't wait, you need to get to your safe place right now. Let's put a track on this. So again, it's moving right over Warrensburg. It's going to the east-northeast at roughly 25 miles an hour. So Warrensburg, you're in your safe place. Knob Noster should be arriving, Brian, looks like in about 20 minutes. So about 6:11. This storm will be arriving in Knob Noster. We'll see how well it holds together. Of course, we have that other tornado warned storm that's just off to the north and east near Houstonia. So we'll see if that impacts the storm that you're tracking right now.
Yeah, sometimes if they track too close to one another, they kind of choke each other off per se. So we may have to see the survival of the fittest. That's one thing that we'll continue to watch and to monitor. I actually do think there's enough space in between the two that they probably will hold together. But this one still seems to be tracking to the north of 50, so closer to Houstonia. And as you see here, as we put it into motion using First Alert Live radar, seems to be tracking more just east and northeast as opposed to due east. And that's going to put it, once again, closer to Houstonia, to the north of Lamont. That's the tornado warning in effect until 6:15. The other one is still heading toward Warrensburg itself, and hopefully you're definitely taking your precautions there. And yeah, probably Johnny is back to the west right now trying to reposition, but at this point in time, it seems like these are the two storms that we're most concerned about: Johnson County, Missouri, Pettis County, Missouri, and the easternmost one is still in effect until 6:15 for the potential of another down or touchdown, since we had reports of homes being damaged within the metro itself, mainly on the Kansas side in Johnson County, near 199th, I believe, in Schweitzer. And we do have some of our crews heading toward that direction as well. And during our 6 o'clock newscast, I guarantee you we'll be giving you that information. But still going to advance the story in case these tornadoes do decide, or at least these tornado warned areas do decide to have at least a touchdown here or there. That's right now over Warrensburg, so you are probably getting the hail and the gusty winds and probably torrential rainfall as well. But as we're looking with First Alert Live radar, the live sweep came around and once again painted on the new echoes per se. There it is, and there's Warrensburg. So hopefully you are in your safe area for at least another 10 minutes, I would say, just to be on the safe side, pretty much right on campus. And that will definitely be right in the throes of this. And also, don't forget Whiteman Air Force Base isn't too far away from that as well. So I'm sure they're looking at this with great interest too. So this is right now the heaviest of the downpours going through Warrensburg right now. We are still monitoring to see, because there are storm trackers and storm chasers out in that area. Haven't seen that many reports coming in quite yet, but that may be changing as well. And then as mentioned, as we go farther to the east, the other tornado warning is in effect until 6:15, and that is for Pettis County as well. And there you see it. So Sedalia, you are in the clear from that, because it's this cell itself, and it doesn't look like it's going to grow, mature, develop, or even move farther south. It seems to be moving east to northeast. And as we put it into motion, you can definitely see that track. Still looks like even you may miss out on the rain altogether. That will be something we'll continue to watch and to monitor. But right now, rural portions of Pettis County, that's the area for the tornado warning. Hopefully it will not necessarily drop down once again. And these are the two storms between Warrensburg and Sedalia, but between Warrensburg and going farther to the north, northern portions of Pettis County. And, excuse me, that's where we see toward Houstonia the better chances for at least you to be interacting with this storm, more so than the southern and central portions of Pettis County until 6:15. There was a report earlier of funnel clouds, and as Johnny said even a little while ago, funnel cloud is one thing, a wall cloud is another, and if there is a tornado, once it's called a tornado, it touches the ground, and we've not seen many reports of that in quite some time, and let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Also, another good thing, at least farther west, is the fact that I've not seen any new tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings, for that matter, being issued. So it looks like maybe a lot of the juice that is in the atmosphere to use to make thunderstorms will stay farther east and southeast of us. But now we've recentered First Alert Live radar on the metro itself as cleanup efforts are continuing in Johnson County on the Kansas side, but we see more yellows, and that's in the middle of our color code as opposed to being the yellows going up toward the oranges and the reds. So things are calming down for the metro, but still right here, Johnson County, Missouri, and also up toward northern portions of Pettis County, that's where we see at least the threat of tornadoes, or at least the potential for tornado warnings to be there. So now Johnson and Pettis still under that on the Missouri side. Johnny, if you're okay, can I throw it to you for just 1 second, please? See what you have, if you're in position. If not, no big deal. So they're still talking to me. So there's Warrensburg, and what we're noticing is, again, right now, if you're not in your safe area, please, and also if you live east of Warrensburg, I would definitely try to get into your safe area if at all possible, because right now it appears that it has passed by the city itself. It means almost as, to the east of the campus of Central Missouri State University, but it is still holding together with the potential of heavy rainfall, and still waiting to see if we are going to extend it any farther, but this is set to expire in just a few minutes. Neville, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Brian, so we're still seeing an area of rotation here. Like you mentioned, the worst of the storm now, I would say, is on the eastern part of Warrensburg, and the area of rotation that we're keeping an eye on here very carefully is almost right along 50 Highway. So if you're in the Knob-Noster area, as Brian has been mentioning, you need to get to your safe place right now, because that's the part of the storm, and I'm going to circle it here in a second, that has the greatest threat. So it's going to be right in here where we've been seeing that strongest rotation. That's the part that really is most concerning and has that potential of producing a tornado. So moving on the eastern fringe of the city of Warrensburg and moving almost right along 50 Highway there, heading toward Knob-Noster. That's if you're in that spot, and if you're east of that spot, which includes Knob-Noster, get to your safe place right now, because that's the portion of the storm that can produce that tornado at any time. There's likely still strong rotation in that part of the severe storm that we're tracking, Brian.
Our 6 o'clock newscast will be starting very shortly, but we're continuing our coverage because of these tornado warnings. They're still within the viewing area, and still two storms that have had a history of producing tornadoes, albeit them brief, but still causing some damage, as you're going to be seeing in just a few minutes from some of our reporters who are out in the field closer to the metro itself, where it all started, mainly on the Johnson County, Kansas side, with some damage. Was that quarter size?
Quarter size.
Okay, so that's going to be severe criteria. 1 inch in diameter is considered quarter size, and so that's what's coming out of this cell. And as I mentioned before, it's probably right there, or also another pocket in the purple farther south. As I mentioned before, the larger the hail, the stronger the updraft. The stronger the updraft, the more organized the storm is. The more organized the storm is, the more likely it could produce a tornado. Although it may be a brief one, it still can produce a tornado itself. So there you see the better chances for the hail itself, and the couplet was east of Warrensburg right now. But as Neville mentioned, Knob-Noster definitely have to be in your clear area, or your safe area for the time being, until you're given the all clear. Pettis County still north of Sedalia, but it still seems like north of 50 Highway the better chances for that secondary severe thunderstorm that produced a tornado. Right now, it is tracking primarily east and northeast, which means it looks like it's now to the north of Lamont. But before you get back out of your safe area, let's see what this cell does near Knob-Noster, and also see what this cell that's now leaving the Warrensburg area will be doing. So I want Lamont, you stay in your area for just a little bit longer, just in case. Knob-Noster, the estimated time of arrival of this storm at 9 minutes past the hour of 6. Lamont, if it holds together, it'll be hitting you at about 6:27 this evening. And then let's put a storm track on the fresh one out to the east. Pettis County, which is still in effect until 6:15. That one is out toward Houstonia, and once again, as I say, it looks like it's to the north of Lamont. But now, because it's been a while since we put a storm track on there, and it has changed its direction a little bit, these cities, and it may also be pretty much rural areas, which is why you don't see anything populated in our storm track itself. But if you know anybody who has a family farm east of Houstonia or in Houstonia, going farther east toward Tettleville, and also near, is that Wren Road? So this is farther east in northern portions of Pettis County. And so this is now still suspect enough for the Weather Service to continue with this warning for another 15 minutes or so, or thereabouts. So these are the two, and the only two thus far. No additional tornado warnings have been reported. No additional tornado warnings have been issued. But right now, the better chances are going to be eastern portions of Johnson County on the Missouri side, northern portions of Pettis County, and hopefully we can close the door very shortly. Just worry about garden variety thunderstorms with some gusty winds and some pea-sized hail for the rest of the evening hours. And then the good news is, once this is done later on this evening, it calms down for the other half of at least your Tuesday, even into Wednesday. That's when the rain comes back in. More on that a little later on after we're out of this severe weather threat. Johnny Rones is down to the south. There's Warrensburg, and he is still pretty close to the storm itself. And if you hear reports coming in to the control room from him, just let me know. But he's just curious because, again, the more eyes we have on it, the more trained eyes we have on it, because a lot of folks sometimes will give erroneous information, not quite accurate. But right now, I've not seen on National Weather Service chat or other ways any other report that says that, once again, we have a tornado, or at least the potential for that rotation to drop. But it is still something that we're going to continue to watch and to monitor. Neville, one more time, please.
Let's just.
Yeah. Oh, back to me? That's fine. Yeah. Okay, what we have here is Warrensburg, Knob-Noster. Excuse me. There's Houstonia, and there is also Lamont. So as we're looking here, most of the action is still 50 highway and north. This is now looking more like a heavy rain event and possibly gusty winds. There's still enough of a notch to be a little more concerned about that warning to still be in effect. But I believe that once these two tornado warnings are allowed to expire, that may be it for the night. I don't want to jinx us. I don't want to jinx us at all, but it sure does look that way. So this is now the new storm track as we now have looked at it, and we've also let First Alert Live Radar go around a couple more times, since it does update once every minute and a half or so, just to the north of Knob-Noster. So at 6909 is when it thinks it'll be heading at least toward the city itself. But as I see here, it looks like most of the storm is to the north. Lamont, you're in the path, so again, I still think you need to stay in your area. Houstonia is still right in the middle of this other storm that's out toward Pettis County too. So
stopped in the Warrensburg area. So emergency manager in Warrensburg saying the hail has stopped. They're getting some heavy rain, but the hail has stopped. So some good news. The severe threat is going down for Warrensburg.
And that's a good sign too, because once again, it looks like the heaviest is east of Warrensburg, and as you mentioned, off 50 highway. Let's hope that this storm also is going to tucker itself out pretty shortly. Will allow some of these warnings to be expiring. You can see the evolution of this on First Alert Live Radar. Keep your eye for the purple. That would be the hail. And we see less and less of it, more of a line here east of Warrensburg, but for the city itself, which is where that report was coming in, it's more just the heavy rain. And right now it's not looking like a bow echo per se, so I'm not seeing necessarily gusty winds with this, but nonetheless the Weather Service is still keeping a very close eye on this, as are we, just in case it does decide to dip down once again with another tornado, although they have been very brief. And that, let me emphasize, and I can't say it enough, this is just to quell fears for those folks who are out there to the east of the city itself. This is not a setup, a typical setup like you would see between Lawrence and Linwood, or for Oak Grove for that matter. Okay, so this is different. This is just because there's a lot of shear, which is the change of wind direction with height, but the formula, in other words, the amount of material that the atmosphere has to feed off of is not that great. So that's why the tornado threat is not widespread, and these things don't last very long on the ground per se, but we still have two. But I'm still at least somewhat reassured that more and more of the warnings are being erased or whittled away as the storm moves farther east. And although there is another line behind it, it does not look as heavy or as strong. So let's just hope that these are the last two of the tornado producing, or at least the tornado suspected storms that are moving through. Okay, so we do have at least northern portions of Pettis County and also toward Warrensburg, the heavier cells themselves. But there is a break right now. Holden, first alert going out for you for the heavier rainfall. Higginsville, Odessa, and also Concordia, heavy rain, but not severe. So part of this is going to be an exercise to make sure that you stay safe, but also stay calm. That the only two areas right now of concern, east of Warrensburg, northern portions of Pettis County, with the 2 tornado warnings that are still out there. Johnson County, Missouri, not Kansas, and also Pettis County, Missouri. So this is it. First alert going out toward Dom Noster itself. We are looking at, it looks like a shriveling hail core, and the winds are starting to die down a little bit, and the rain should be easing up a little bit for Warrensburg. So mercifully, I've not seen any reports coming in from the campus or the city of Warrensburg saying that they've had damage there. But right now, it seems now south of 50 Highway, this mustard colored line you see going toward Knob Noster, connecting that to Warrensburg, that is 50. So it is now south of 50 Highway, at least for the heaviest, and that notch is still a possibility there. But also farther to the north and northeast of that, Lamont to Houstonia, that's Pettis County, rural portions of Pettis County pretty much, but it's across the northern tier of that county, more so than down towards Sedalia. And I think that's the way it's going to stay, at least from that cell. But Sedalia, don't put your guard down yet until we see exactly what this western storm does. But right now it seems to be more evolving into more of a hail event, more so than a tornadic event, but something we're definitely going to let our friends at the National Weather Service make that final call. But right now it does appear that the tornado threat will be remaining in these two areas, northern portions of Pettis County, eastern portions of Johnson County as well, at 6:07. So we still have a few more minutes on some of these warnings. Hopefully things will calm down thereafter. Laura, you have some information that's coming in here as we start our 6 o'clock newscast.
Yes, thank you, Brian and Neville. Really good job there. There are reports of storm damage in Overland Park, Kansas. So let's get to KMBC 9's Jackson Kurtz. He joins us live near 193rd and Antioch. Okay, and as you can see, there is damage. We're going to work on getting Jackson's microphone working, and we will get back to him. Meanwhile, we have seen many reports of hail, and Brian was just talking about hail in the Warrensburg area. I'm going to take a view right now from 175th and Flum. You can see it looks like snow. That is actually hail in Overland Park, Kansas. We'd invite you to share your weather photos with us at the KMBC 9 News Facebook page. And let's move on to the pandemic now. Oh, we're going to go back to Jackson Kurtz. Jackson, you are in Overland Park. Jackson?
That's right, we were having some audio issues, but we're on 193rd in Antioch where there's lots of debris from this storm. This is what everyone in the neighborhood has picked up from the tornado that briefly touched down in this area. You can see part of the gutter from a home nearby. You can see some others from the roof and some tree limbs. And then this house here on this same block, part of the roof coming down from that tornado. You can see some insulation kind of hanging from the roof as well. But this house right here, coming right over here, this saw a lot of damage too. One woman was inside. She said she was so scared when this was happening. The sirens were coming off, but thankfully no one was hurt. But you can see the roof has had a lot of damage. She said there's been folks in and out of the neighborhood fixing this roof since we got on scene. And take a look at this basketball goal from this tornado that touched down. Really, really powerful image. Lots of appliances from this storm. But again, thankfully no one was hurt. Here's what someone had to say when the tornado did touch down.
I was outside watching, and I saw the clouds beginning to twirl a little bit, and then I saw a funnel form right down here over Antioch, about 194th and Antioch, started forming. So I yelled at my wife and daughter to get to the basement, and then it started hailing tremendously, and the wind started picking up, and I ran to the basement myself.
What goes through your mind when you see this damage like this?
This is Kansas. I've seen a lot of tornadoes. I'm almost 78, and I've seen quite a few tornadoes in the area. This is the closest one I've been to.
And again, no one was hurt in that damage. Friends and neighbors have been coming in and out of the area to assess the damage and help out where they can. Live in Johnson County tonight, Jackson Kurtz, KMBC 9 News.
Okay, where Jackson is, he's still obviously reporting from the rain that's going on there, but it looks like the tornado threat and the severe thunderstorm threat is over. I want to start and give you the big picture there, that the metro itself still has some heavier downpours, but as far as wind or hail, does not seem to be the issue. We still have 2 tornado warnings that are out, one until 6:15, one until 6:30. The one until 6:30 is northern portions of Pettis County. So there's Sedalia. And again, you're not in harm's way. It is to your north. And unless this thing takes a real hard right turn and goes farther east and southeast, I think the city of Pettis is okay from this storm. And again, this warning stays in effect until 6:30. I say from this storm because of this. There is still a severe thunderstorm that's producing at least the tornado warning that's out. And this one stays in effect until 6:15, eastern portions of Johnson County on the Missouri side. Warrensburg, again, you're in the clear for the time being, and you will stay that way from this cell. So it looks like the tornado threat is over. The hail threats even come down quite a bit. But depending on what this does, is this heading to the east into Pettis County, that one could affect Sedalia. That one could affect the northern portions as it is right now toward Houstonia if it holds together. As we put it in motion, you can see that movement. It is definitely at least intense, and it is the most intense storm we have going on right now. So maybe within a few minutes, within 3 to be exact, they may allow at least Johnson County, Missouri to expire at 6:15, but still keep the other one out toward Pettis County until 6:30. And usually about this time, if they're going to extend it into farther south, they would probably issue it by now. Again, I don't want to jinx it by any means, but right now there is no new tornado warning out for other portions of Pettis County besides the northern portion of that particular county. So Warrensburg, you are definitely going to be all right for the time being, but now we're focusing our attention toward Knob Noster, areas farther to the east as well. And so it is starting to leave from Johnson County, Missouri into Pettis County, Missouri. And here's new information that just came in. Do you see this on First Alert Live radar? There's now a yellow outline. We have 2 red outlines, but now a yellow outline. So they're not issuing a tornado warning for Pettis County to include Sedalia. This is a severe thunderstorm warning until 7 o'clock. Now, again, we're going to watch this and monitor it, but right now it seems like the rotational threat does not seem to be as present, which is good news there. But now this is a severe thunderstorm warning out for central portions of Pettis County to the north of Green Ridge. Does come up just to the back doorstep of Sedalia, but then the tornado warning until 6:30 is for Lamont to Houstonia. And probably what's going to happen is this will be allowed to expire in 2 minutes, the tornado warning, unless you see something else, Neville, that's coming
And
through
Brian,
here.
yeah, we're just
Go
getting
ahead.
in the Pettis County Sheriff. All the storm shelters have been unlocked, so they are preparing and getting ready just in case if people do need to get to those storm shelters. And just a reminder, if you do have to storm shelter with people outside of your household, just grab that mask, just take it with you to be on the safe side just in case.
And as far as the warning itself, the severe thunderstorm warning, are they mentioning the tornado threat continuing, or are they more concerned about wind and hail only?
I'm thinking wind and hail only, but let me
Please.
check on that and get back to you.
What we're trying to do is just to make sure that at least one part or one phase of the severe weather is going down, and that's why we're definitely going to give you that first alert. But I'm somewhat encouraged that instead of continuing with a tornado warning, they've decided to go for a severe thunderstorm warning. But that being said, this has had a history of dropping a tornado in a matter of seconds. Doesn't last long, a couple minutes, but you just saw from Jackson's report that it still can do some damage to isolated neighborhoods per se. And because they are weak in intensity, not very strong, not like Lawrence and Linwood, you're not going to see total devastation where houses are gone, but you are going to see at least a disruption of life as they know it in those neighborhoods. So right now, that is a severe thunderstorm warning staying in effect until 7 o'clock. It looks like the tornado warning is set to expire any minute now, but the other tornado warning from Lamont going up toward Houstonia, that stays in effect until 6:30. And these seem to be the only 2 that are going on. What did they say, Neville?
Yes, it looks like that, yeah, that tornado warning has expired, as you mentioned, in the Warrensburg area. There's still just a little bit of rotation that we are keeping an eye on. Right now, it's primarily centered almost right over the Knob Noster area. So still monitoring this area in particular there, right along 50 Highway near Knob Noster, just off to the west of Lamont. So again, we have that severe thunderstorm warning, which is good, but we're going
Right.
to still keep a close eye on that area, extending just a little bit to the west of Green Ridge there in Pettis County.
Right.
Just watching for any additional development potentially.
Okay, so that's good news as well. So you saw the red box that was, including Warrensburg, allowed to expire at 6:15. New severe thunderstorm warning until 7 o'clock. Now pretty much Pettis County, going farther east and just right on the back lip of Sedalia. But then the tornado warning, which is for this cell, not for that one, but for this one that is over the northern portion of Pettis County, that one stays in effect for another 15 minutes or so, set to expire at 6:30. I've not seen any new reports coming in from that, but that's the one that's closer to Houstonia. So that tornado warning still stay in effect for northern portions of Pettis County until 6:30. And the other good thing I guess that we should say about this is I've seen no additional or seen or heard any additional chatter going about issuing more warnings per se. So this seems to be the hotbed of activity, and once this is done, that should be it for the severe weather threat, although we're still going to see a couple more hours at least of some thunderstorms that'll be out there. Let's do a fresh storm track on that, or did I just see the tornado warning?
Looks like they dropped it.
Did they just drop it?
Yep, canceled for Pettis County. Just dropped it.
So that's also good news here. In that Pettis County, northern portions, this storm, Houstonia, they were supposed to go until 6:30. As you saw on First Alert Live radar, it vanished. That means they've decided to allow it to expire. So that's actually a very good sign. But also farther south, though, we still have this severe thunderstorm warning out for Pettis County just to the west of Sedalia, and that one stays in effect. Well, there's 50 Highway, just so you get your bearings. There's Lamont, there's Sedalia. This one stays in effect until 7 o'clock. More wind, more hail, more so than a tornadic threat. But because the atmosphere is still kind of volatile, I think that they just want to keep their guard up just in case it does drop another brief tornado. And that's the other good news I can just say. They seem to be brief. They are not long tracking tornadoes. But nonetheless, just west of Lamont is where it's currently positioned and still moving through. Let's do a storm track on that so you can see if there are any communities that may pop up. But as you know, between Lamont and Sedalia, it may be pretty rural as well. So we do have pretty much, once again, west of Sedalia, the better chances for that one cell. Repeat one more time, please. So there it is, Sedalia a little before 7 o'clock in the 7 o'clock in the evening. We'll continue to watch the situation from over here in the First Alert Weather Center, but the good news is the tornado threat seems to be going downhill quite rapidly, but we still have a couple of severe thunderstorms to still worry about for later on this evening. Damaging winds and damaging hail, the number one and number two thing we're most concerned about.
All right, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Neville. We want to move on to the pandemic right now. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly just announced she is combining phase 3 and 4.